What are we shooting today, man?
We got some good content today, man. We're gonna take everybody through the tilt, how to do it, the ins and outs of it, what people are saying about it, why people are doing it wrong, and then walk you through a warm-up as well. We'll take you guys through a warm-up, the whole nine. It's gonna be good.
Here we go.
So the tilt doesn't really work unless you have a solid rear leg to tilt from, okay? So I've talked about this a lot in the past, but when I warm up prior to me hitting, for me, I don't have a labrum in this hip. So I gotta really get my rear leg warmed up prior to me going over there and swinging. For some of you, this may be overkill, but for me, it works. So to start, I set up in this stretch and fire stance where I'm 3/4 open. My rear leg, when I'm hitting, is actually just weighted right here, my front foot's not. And all I'm doing on this is trying to get my back right pocket towards the pitcher and just feeling myself coil and uncoil. So I'll be right here. And this is a super light med ball too. This is only 4 pounds, nothing too crazy, nothing too heavy. So the next one I'm gonna do is the flamingo. For this one, I'm just gonna stand on top of one leg, coil around my leg, and then let my leg uncoil me. My effort is going up the middle, second base area, still nothing crazy, not going too hard. Just feeling myself coil and uncoil. Coil and uncoil. If I feel myself go forward, that's completely fine because I'm going forward at launch, okay? So coil, uncoil. And on this too, I'm not trying to use my arms for a big power move in here. I'm trying to feel like my leg is literally throwing this ball off my hip, okay? There we go, that's good. Okay, next thing I'm doing is just some light pogos on one leg. Start with my rear leg first. Once I get to about 5 yards, go back. And then same thing forward. Do this a few times, get the other leg. Right after that, I'm gonna do some hip cars, okay? Now for me, like I said, I don't have a labrum in this hip, but I'm gonna do both sides anyways. For the hip car, I just come up like this, out to the side. Once I hit my max external rotation, now I'm gonna rotate internally and then come all the way back and retrace my steps. I'll just do 3 of these aside. Ooh, yeah, that hip's nice and tight. Good. Now, really quick, I'm gonna go through 3 pails and rails for internal rotation. So for this one, I'm just gonna get my belly button in line with this front knee. My knee back here is gonna stay down on the ground. So I got this 90. My heel is in line with this knee, all the way back to this heel. This knee stays down on the ground. I'm pressing down with this foot, okay? So when I'm doing this, I'm not going at a 10 because I'm just prepping myself to hit, okay? If this was a training stimulus and I wanted to work on increasing internal rotation of this leg, then I would go all out efforts. I would hold it for longer than what I'm gonna do in this video. But for this video, I'm just gonna go about 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up. I'm not full sending, okay? Now on here, I wanna pretend that there's a weight scale underneath this foot and that I am trying to get that weight scale to read a high number slowly and progressively. Okay, so right here, belly button in line with this knee. And now here, I'm gonna press down with that foot. Only about 5 seconds. I feel it all firing around my hip right now. And then I'm gonna press up, try to keep my body in the same spot I was at. 4, 5, press down. Another 5 seconds. And then lift up. This would be my rails. And I know pails and rails sounds really weird, but it's progressive and regressive anticular isometric loading. Super sciencey shit, but nonetheless, what I'm doing is actually sending force here, okay? So force down, getting the progressive side of the tissue, now force up, getting the regressive side of the tissue. So I'm really hammering out all sides of that hip socket, getting it prepped and ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time. Press down, and then press up. Good. Okay, so like I said, if that was a training stimulus, I'd go through that a handful of times. But all I'm gonna do is go through that once more, get myself ready to go, and then we'll be good to start hitting. I crushed my fucking workout this morning. All right, so to start this thing off with the tilt, the first thing I want to cover is direction, okay? Most people see our videos and they see excessive tilting, okay, like this. They see us going backwards in our isolated drills, but to be clear, we're isolating a segment of the swing, okay? So whenever you isolate a segment of the swing, you're over-exaggerating stuff on purpose so that way you can build the entire swing later on, all right? So to start off, we got direction. I'm gonna put this propeller down like this, so it's shooting up towards second base, okay? The reason why the tilt helps with direction is two things. Number one, it helps you with your bat path, believe it or not, okay? This is where the quickness is. This is where the power is. The tilt is where the direction is, okay? So when I'm just gonna start in a no stride here to, bring this home. But when I go no stride, on and around, the moment that I start to tilt, you'll see that my hips actually go up before they go here, okay? If I do not have a solid rear leg to tilt from, that means my first move is going to be here, okay? So I'm going to rotate against the front side. So it's gonna be east-west. Now this barrel will follow wherever my hips go. So if my hips lead me here, okay, not a good thing. That's a very flat swing. I'm not gonna be able to handle negative vertical break on pitches or depth on pitches very well at the bottom of the zone just because I don't have a lot of depth behind me, okay? So I'm not gonna be on plane with that pitch early on. But the next thing is when I'm tilting here, okay, to start off first, my direction is out towards second base because I'm pivoting here, okay? So if you haven't seen our hand pivot video, it's a basic breakdown. Everybody can understand it. It's just like step one to trying to learn it. Click that video up there and you'll be good to go, okay? But when I'm pivoting here, you'll notice that I'm trying to turn my barrel in this direction, okay, towards you guys. So when I do that, I want to feel like the moment that I launch, my barrel is actually shooting towards second base, almost as if I were to let go, it would fly north-south like this over the second baseman's head and just keep carrying out into right center field. That gives me the inside-out approach to every pitch, whether it's inside, whether it's middle, whether it's out, whether it's low, whether it's high, it doesn't matter, okay? Now I know that we've all had the coach scream from the dugout to hit it to the opposite field, or we have the move them over rounds. Regardless of what level you play, everybody does those rounds, okay? And those move them over rounds, when you watch most younger kids or lower level hitters hit, they do this. They just make sure every pitch is trying to get it on the ground that way, okay? Their adjustability in that moment is with their arms. I want to feel like I have every opportunity in the world to hit that pitch that way without using my arms to do it, okay? I want to feel like at launch, I can immediately send my barrel that way, okay? If I have the ability to do that, that means I can be inside the outside pitch, inside the middle pitch, and inside the inside pitch. The only difference between those three swings is my leg turning me to the ball, okay? Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you don't have a solid rear leg to tilt from, it's gonna be a bad day. Those are the videos where you see guys trying to learn this thing on their own, and they're out in front of the leg against the front foot trying to tilt. They're actually dumping the barrel and dumping their shoulders because they don't have a leg that can actually tilt them to the ball, okay? The tilt should set you free. It feels like it releases your swing the moment that you tilt, all right? All right, so to start, okay, now I'm gonna have this tee set up on my back hip. Now I can't have it too deep because we got the camera set up right here. If I put it way too deep like I normally would, I'd probably smack the camera, okay? But I'm gonna have it on my back hip somewhat. It's gonna actually be angled right here. But if you're doing this at home, put that thing right there, okay? So when I'm doing this, I'm gonna start in a no stride, all right? Now there's two ways to tilt. I prefer to teach it. The first way is to tilt from the hip socket. Again, you have to have a solid rear leg to do it, okay? Meaning when I get wound up, I'm exaggerating my tilt from right here in this area of my body to go this way, okay? The second way to tilt is to feel like you have a small little oblique crunch right in here, okay? So you'll notice that even if I do that, because I'm rear-legged, I've been doing this a very long time, I've been teaching this swing for like 7 years, right? So for me, it ends up looking the exact same doing that as opposed to doing this, okay? But most guys, because when they first start with us, they usually don't have a good rear leg. It's easier to try to learn the rear leg first and then imagine tilting from here rather than not really getting the rear leg and then telling guys to tilt from their torso, because then they start doing this when they tilt, okay? But to each his own. We've had some guys have a lot of success learning how to tilt from their oblique and then learning how to tilt from here. It's really dependent on the person, all right? So for this drill, I'm gonna try to get it almost in line with my back hip. And all I'm exaggerating in here is to turn the barrel this way, like I'm gonna hit the catcher's mitt first, and then the tilt from my hip socket. So I'm literally imagining in my head, I'm gonna show you a little demo without hitting the ball, that I'm doing this, okay? Even though I'm not gonna really do that to hit this ball, that's what I'm trying to do, all right? So to start off, right in there, okay? Now, you'll notice I didn't extend my arms. Okay? The goal is to feel like it's a snap stop. Like I put the force behind me, I tilted, I got to contact, and I was able to retract it and come right back. I would do that over and over and over again. For those of you who feel like you have to hit the ball at extension because all your force and effort is out here with your arms, like I said, put that tee behind you. I know it feels super weird at first, but you'll actually have an opportunity. Imagine if the tee's back here. I have an opportunity to really tilt and feel that feeling that we're looking for. Those are all good fucking tilts though, dude. Those are money. All right, so now we're gonna put it on the low pitch, okay? Now, for these drills, I didn't mention this before, it's obvious though, I'm using a small bat. This is like 28 inches, okay? I prefer to start with stuff light and smaller on most of our constraint drills. We swing these bats every day, okay? I prefer to do that because it's a little bit easier to manipulate the barrel. I feel like I can actually get the force into my handle first, and I'm just warming up, right? So that's really important. But the second thing is, with this lower pitch, you will end up releasing your arms a little bit sooner in game, okay? Meaning, I can still tilt from my hip socket to hit this pitch, right? I can still tilt down in here to do it, but I'm not gonna be able to catch it, boom, right at 6 o'clock every time. That's where the adjustability is in this swing though. It's all about the load and then the launch. My adjustability happens at launch because I can continue to keep this. I realize it's slower and it's lower, and then I release my arms just a little bit sooner than normal. What happens if you don't tilt though? It ends up getting really messy. So if I don't tilt, I stand straight up and down. You'll see a lot of guys do this, especially the guys that believe it's really like this, okay? You'll see a lot of this. All right, so where they feel like I'm straight down like this, whenever I go to swing, there's not a lot of tilt. All my adjustability now is in my arms. That looks a lot different than from back there, right? And I want to train for my A swing. I'm not training for a B or C swing. B or C swings may happen in game depending on your adjustability, but it's not something that I really want to focus on. All right, so I put this propeller down to exaggerate my launch out towards second base. On all the drills that I have, I imagine that right when I turn this barrel, my leg and my handle are going to shoot right up that line right there, okay? You can also not put anything there and just have the backside of this plate, and I want to be on that angle for every single pitch that I hit, okay? So now I'm going to demo this low pitch with a small bat, so I will release my arms a little bit sooner, but I want to show you the difference between that standing up tall version and then actually tilting from the hip socket in order to get to it. Now this isn't deep, this is like a normal setup for this pitch, okay? So on and around, I'm just going to go no stride for this, tilt from the hip socket, right in there. Obviously that's different, right? Yes, I release my arms a little bit sooner, but the goal in training is to never release my arms. If I can make that my goal, I will just be able to respond to the speed of the pitch and then release them when I need to. That's the point to the swing. There's the adjustability right there. All right, now for this next exaggeration drill, I'm gonna show you what it looks like without the tee and just a feel drill that you can do prior, okay? Now imagine, have you ever hit a fungo to a catcher pop? Right? Imagine if you were to do that, it would look something like this. You throw it up and you'd exaggerate the tilt big time from there trying to hit a catcher pop. because we're in a cage, because I don't know where that ball is going to land, it may hit one of our camera setup or our camera guy. I'm not going to do that, but you can do it off a tee too. So from here, I want you to notice one thing before I put a ball in there. My bat path can immediately change from tilting. I'm not going to use my arms. I'm not going to turn the barrel at all. I just want to show you a little tilt, a feel of exaggeration right in there. You see how the knob already starts to change? Okay, it starts to go up. Now imagine I couple that with swinging down. We teach all of our players to swing down. I couple that with swinging, but down my back. That speed from the barrel is just going to light into that rear leg and take it for a ride. Okay. Now, some coaches may hate this drill, the way that it looks, but it's the feel that we're going for. I'm going to sky this ball straight in the air, trying to hit a catcher pop. Your coaches will not like the idea of skying this ball straight in the air. They will not like the fact that you're going to pepper the top of this. So if you're trying to do this in front of your coaches, even in the org, like, don't do this in front of them unless they're all about high level pattern hitting. Because if they're not, this drill, most of these drills that we show in most of our videos, it's too off for them. It's too different than what they're used to. Okay, so for me, I prefer the Happy Gilmore feel on this drill. You can do it from a no stride if you want, doesn't matter to me, but I prefer this so that way I feel like I'm actually walking in, doing a fungo, catcher pop, and hitting it like that. Okay, now I'm not trying to extend my arms on this. I don't care about the result, that what happens to this ball whatsoever. I just want to feel my barrel fly down my back and my tilt set me free into this pitch. Okay, super rear legged, here we go. That felt like a tilt from hell, which is exactly what I want. The tilt will set you free. On and around. Right there, a little east-west there. I didn't feel the tilt very much. Back to it. I want to feel like my rear leg's tilting towards second base. There we go. That was a lot better. Okay. Now you'll notice, yeah, some of these balls are caught. Some of them aren't. They're not real catcher pops. Doesn't matter. That's my goal though. My goal is to feel an exaggerated tilt into this. So now the next drill that I'm going to show you guys isn't actually with a ball or a bat. It's going to be with something else that we made called the torch. All right. And it's going to get a little weird. All this is a shirt attached to this PVC pipe. Okay. We literally duct taped it years ago and it's still working today. All right. Now, when I do this drill, I'm going to be hitting something. We're going to hit our reverse hyper. Okay, but I recommend like a punching bag or something like that so you can get a feel for it. All right, so let me take you over there. So like I said, this is my reverse hyper. Come get a shot of this right here. I'm hitting this pad right here. I'm not gonna try to hit it too hard. I don't wanna cut that thing, but that's why I recommend if you are gonna do a drill like this, maybe a punching bag kind of laying horizontal up on top of something. That would probably be best. We just don't have a lot of space in order to bring something like that in here, okay? So what this is a shirt attached to this PVC pipe. Now the reason why I do that is because there's this feel that I get when I turn it rearward. Okay, I can hear it. These microphones are pretty good. You probably can't hear it, but I feel the weight of this thing behind it as I start to pivot it. I really like that feel. You can also do this with any tool that you want. You could even do it with a regular bat because yes, I'm working on the hand pivot simultaneously with this, but the tilt is what I'm focusing on for this drill. Okay, so I'm gonna get set up just to where I know that I can actually hit this thing right in here. I'm gonna get on and around. My goal is to tilt myself back and snap this barrel into this thing pretty hard, okay? Ready? Right in there. Now, when I'm doing that, I'm just teaching myself how to tilt aggressively. It needs to be sudden. Think about this. The rear leg is gonna uncoil you at the same exact time that you snap the bat, at the same exact time that you tilt. All three of those things are gonna happen simultaneously. That's why we train the swing in isolation, okay? So that way you can get that feeling of suddenness in all of the drills and then put it all together when you go to swing. Now, like I said about training the swing in isolation, okay? You'll notice that if you just scroll through our comments, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, which is just a cesspool of terribleness, when you're scrolling through those comments, you're gonna see a lot of hate on a lot of the isolation drills. You can't let that get to you, okay? We're trying to train the swing fully by breaking it down into individual parts, all right? Now you'll notice that a lot of these drills that I did today, I've done in some of our other videos. Our rear leg video, which is gonna be right up here if you haven't seen it, okay? And we also did it in our hand pivot video, which is also gonna be right up here if you haven't seen it, okay? And a lot of these drills are the same. The only difference is where my emphasis is during that moment. Okay, I want to make sure my emphasis is going to be on the particular part of the swing that I'm trying to emphasize, that segment. All right, so we do a lot of the same drills. I say a lot of the same things. The difference is when our guys come in and we hit in a group setting, unless we're doing like private training for somebody or something like that, when we hit in our group setting, even our pro guys, when we do that, we isolate specific segments of the swing, usually on tee work, and then we take that feels and those drills over to flips. We try to do it there, and then we do an arm, we do darts, we do machine work, or we do live at bat, something like that, and it's just a gradual stress test, okay? But the thing that is really popular nowadays, instead of trying to improve your technique, we're trying to just prove the numbers, exit velo and bat speed. And in my opinion, that's where you start putting the cart before the horse. It doesn't make any sense to chase those things if you have a really shitty swing already, okay? Maybe if you're younger and you want to swing really hard, I would still argue that it's best to learn a higher level technique before you start actually trying to pursue more bat speed and things like that. And for us, we never pursue more bat speed or exit velo while we're in the cage. So none of our stress tests are based off of trying to just rotate as hard as we can, because we don't really believe that it's this. We try to think that there's nothing for us east-west and everything is for us north-south. We don't try to just rotate really hard. We don't try to just swing really hard out of our ass, and we don't try to just chase bat speed. We don't have our environment be way too far advanced for our trainees to actually try to improve their technique of the swing. Because what good does it do if you can swing the bat 80 miles an hour, but you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat? That doesn't make any sense. It's not just about how hard you hit it, it's about how often you can hit it hard. So in our training, we really prioritize technique, okay? Now, if you need guidance in your training, we do offer remote training. You can go ahead and check the link down below in our description, click on that, apply for training. We'll get on a consultation call. We make sure that you're on board with what we're doing before we sell you, okay? We're not on there just to make money. We will make sure that this is the route that's best for you, and we want to make sure that our program is going to be cohesive with whatever it is that you're pursuing, okay? We also got remote strength development and remote throwing development. So go ahead and just check those descriptions down below if you need a coach for that. The last thing I'll say is our company is trying to pursue changing the game at the highest level. We're trying to better player development at the highest level. In order for us to do that, we need you guys to help us out. So we need you guys to like this post, to share this content, to subscribe to our channel. The more people that know about this, the more lives we can impact, the more people we can change. And sooner or later, an MLB org is going to be investing in this. Thanks for your time.